Hey there, friends. Okay, this is running around in my mind, and I want to have a conversation with you about it. So, I want to talk about having hard conversations. Because if we're not having hard conversations, we're killing our relationships. And I almost should have had a warning that I notice I feel really passionate about this, really strongly about this. So, consider yourself warned. um, yeah, we have to be able to have the hard conversations. And I want to admittedly say first and foremost that this has been a huge area of growth for me, that I admittedly have not always been good at having hard conversations. And I mean, my former husband, like, bless his heart, there were plenty of times that having a conversation about how I really felt or what I was thinking and working through hard things, I was a complete brick wall. I did not know how, or I didn't have the willingness perhaps to be in the conversation with him. And I would just sort of stonewall. And God, if you've ever tried to be in communication with somebody like that, you know how incredibly frustrating that is, right? So admittedly, I have not always been good at this, but that is part of why I am so passionate about it now, because I've seen the destruction that it creates in relationships when we're unwilling to go there. And I know firsthand the role that I played in that. And I have a really deep commitment in my relationships now to not do that and to have the courage and the willingness to have really hard conversations, particularly if the relationship really matters to me. So some of this is spurred by, I had the pleasure of dining with some old friends last night, a group of girls that we've been friends for 25 years. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but like a long time we've been friends. And over the course of our friendship, it's moved from more superficial, we were in junior high, high school, whatever, from like being cool and surface talk to experiencing a great deal of life together. So our conversations over time have grown richer and deeper and more honest and more open, and we've shared everything, the hard things, right? The things of like illness and infidelity and challenges with kids and disappointments with jobs and things that aren't working in our relationships. And some of us have been divorced, and some of us have been, have lost parents, and there's just all the things in this life that we've been able to share together. And I've watched over time our conversations become more open and more honest. And so last night we were talking about some of this stuff and some challenges in relationships. And I said to myself, as we were talking, I was just thinking about how much in people's lives, and I work with people all the time in the areas that are not necessarily working for them, right? Like when I'm engaged and work with people, it's because there's something about their life that is not quite how they want it to be, and they believe that it could be better, and they're committed to it being better, and so they're engaged in some action, right? They're coming on retreat, they're doing coaching, they're in a program because they see something else as possible and they want it to be better. So I'm having real conversations with people all the time about what is or isn't working in their life. And so much of what doesn't work in our lives, so much about where we're unsatisfied, we don't have what we want, we're upset, is there and stays there because of our own inability or unwillingness or lack of capacity, whatever you want to say about it, to have hard conversations, to sit down with our partner and say, I'm really unhappy. And like last night, what I was saying is like, who says to their spouse, there's this new guy that got hired at the office, and I notice I'm really attracted to him and it's kind of making me uncomfortable. I think we should talk about it. People don't say that, right? They're too scared to say that. They make up reasons why they can't say that. Oh, their partner wouldn't understand and they would overreact, and that might be true. But they don't say it, and then they sit on it, and then they stuff it, and then they feel bad about thinking it or feeling it. And then it creates this environment. It's like a moist environment is ripe for mold to grow. Well, unspoken environment is ripe for resentment and anger to grow. So it's those things that we're not saying that are killing our relationship from the inside out. We don't say it, we step over it, we stuff it, we pretend it's not there, and it's just this bacteria that's growing in our relationship now. And before we know it, it's going to take over and it's going to spread, and your partner does something and you're like improportionately upset, because it's not even about what they did. It's about all the things that have been festering and breeding in the environment that you're not addressing. You know, who like having the tough conversation with your boss, you don't like your job, or you're not getting the pay that you want. And your own discomfort keeps you from sitting down and saying, here's what I need. Here's what's not working. This is my request. We don't do it. You know, we've got illnesses or something that's going on in our body, or maybe we're scared. We don't say like, I'm scared about what's happening, or I feel really vulnerable right now, or, you know, I'm overwhelmed. I really need some help. Instead, we like put on this tough show and we act like everything's fine, and then we just keep pushing through. And all the while inside, something inside us is dying, shrinking, withering. And it's like our own inability to tell the truth about where we are, and then have the courage to say it to the people that matter most to us. And I think that in and of itself could be a freaking game changer for most people's relationships. Just that. And you know, it's not easy. Like, it's a hard conversation is hard by nature. Like, it's hard to say those things when we know there's a risk that we might lose something important, that someone might be disappointed with us. You know, it's not negating what it takes to do it. Can totally appreciate that it takes something. And my argument here, and I guess my plea is, whatever you have to do to be the kind of person that can have the hard conversation, it's worthy work to do. And we can say we don't have time for it, you know, because maybe it means like getting some counseling, or, you know, seeing a therapist, or getting a coach, or taking a class, or reading a book. Like, maybe it takes something like that to do the inner work and grow your capacity. And we can argue that we don't have time for that. We don't have money for that. But you think you got time and money for a divorce? You think you got time and money for a life buried in resentment? You think you got time to waste with words unspoken and all the weight that creates for you and your life and your body? You don't. Well, I mean, I guess you could if that's the kind of life you want to live. But in my mind, like, it could be, there's so much more available than that, you know? It's such worthy work to do. And I'm still doing it. This is an ongoing growing edge for me. Having the hard conversations is something I'm committed to. And sometimes I wrestle with it for a day before I say something, or 3 weeks before I say something. So, you know, I'm doing my own work to get faster, to notice, and to cultivate the courage that allows me to say what I need to say. And this is different than just spewing at somebody. So saying what you need to say in an open, honest, and vulnerable way is not the same as giving somebody a piece of your mind. So you might think that you're saying it, but you're doing it in a way that's fueled by resentment and hatred, or dissatisfaction. And that is not the same as opening up and being vulnerable with somebody, to really be honest. And it's not hard to attack somebody. It's hard to let somebody really see you and where you are, and open yourself in a vulnerable way. And that's what I'm talking about, is the work to do. And it takes a capacity to be aware of your own thoughts and your own feelings. You have to have an ability to take a step back and pause and reflect. And that's a muscle you have to build that, you know, you don't just have straight away. You have to like go to the gym and work that out. Then there needs to be an ability to breathe and like regulate your own nervous system, right? And kind of soothe and stay in it. And there, you've got to have a capacity to let go of your position and be objective. You've got to be willing and have the ability to stay in the discomfort long enough. If you're wired like me, that discomfort hits and my first instinct is get the hell out of there. You know, that's why I was so bad at this for so long, is that I couldn't be in a hard conversation. My whole body would tighten up and I would feel uncomfortable and I would be afraid that I was going to get in trouble or found out or something, and my system would shut down and I would wall up and we'd get nowhere. So there's got to be an ability to like breathe and be present in your body and stay with the conversation. Be in the unknown of it. So there's a lot of skills that are required, and change your life. It will change your life. And it could just possibly save your relationships or enrich them in ways that you could not imagine if you're willing to do that and to go there. So you guys, that's my confession / my plea. You know, I'm no expert at this, but I've been working pretty diligently at it for a decade plus now. And I do have a deep commitment to being good at this, to showing up in my life and, you know, standing in the fire long enough to create possibility with the people that I love. And I'm like pleading with you, if you're sitting on words unspoken, and you'll know it because you'll feel the tightness, you'll feel the smallness, you'll feel like this when you're with that person, or you'll feel like this when you're with that person, right? There's something you're not saying. And maybe you don't even know what it is that you need to say. And that's someplace where you need to reach out and get support. You know, talk to a therapist, talk to a coach, like talk to somebody who they're skilled at that to help you to see what you can't see. And when you see it, be willing to share it and do that work, because it could be the difference between an illness in your body, resentment in your relationships, a 8-year break from talking to your dad, a divorce that breaks up your family. Like, it could be a factor in things that matter the most. And you got to make time for that. You got to make that a priority. So that's it. Let me see here. Hello, everybody. I love you, Christy. Hi, Sue. Hi, Josh. Hi, Liz. Love you. All right, you guys. That's all I had to say today. If you're watching this on a replay, I'd love to hear from you. If it struck a chord with you, if there's something there for you, if you got a comment, a concern, a question, be in communication with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're feeling. If there's a hard conversation that you need to have and you're scared to death and you just need somebody to support you in having it, hit me up. Like, I would be honored to support you in doing that, right? It's a game changer. It could make all the difference. So have a fantastic day.